Hi y'all, welcome back to my shop, Mike Peace Woodturning. Sometimes as woodturners we occasionally get called upon to try to repair something that only a woodturner can repair. And my wife was using this rolling pin she'd gotten from her mother and only had one handle. And I said, do you want it to only have one handle? She says, no. I said, well, I can fix that because, you know, as we know, a happy wife, happy life. So let's get to fixing this thing. So this end is not glued in, it's come loose. I've got to finish hammering the pin out because it's too tight, and probably take that pin down a little bit so it'll roll freely. And then I've got to drill the other end out to make sure it's clean and replace the pin and the handle. I've got a couple of scraps of maple that'll be great for that, and in between these I'm going to cut a small circular disc of plastic so the wood will spin freely on the surface here. So let's get started. On newer ones, the handles tend to be fastened to a stainless steel rod that goes all the way through. And we'll put some carnauba wax on there. A little wax on there, I think will be fine. As I've used these mini chucks from Record Power, this SC2, for example, I've really come to appreciate the precision and how handy it is to have a smaller chuck for some smaller projects like turning this handle. And I had the dome jaws on there from the last project, but I think that for this particular project I'm going to use, I think having the pen jaws are going to give it a little stronger hold. One of the things I encourage you to do anytime you're changing out jaws is to always clean those screws like I've got, and to get rid of the dust. Just hold it between your fingers and use a toothbrush. And do this every time. And every now and then you want to probably use some anti-seize grease available from the automotive store. Snug it up. Don't ever get these things too tight because you can strip the threads, and you don't want to do that. That's not a good thing. I've yet to strip one, but I have seen others strip them. So now this is going to be a perfect fit for this blank. Okay, I've got it between centers, so now I'm just going to go ahead and round it off. Fairly high speed. Back of the tool, ride the bevel, lift the handle to the cut. So I'll mark the length of this, and then I'll determine the biggest. So that's going to be, just under 3/4 of an inch. There we go. Now get the rest of it to that size. That's going to be the end right there. That's going to be the end. I can go ahead and take that down a little bit so it won't vibrate as much. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is come on down and reduce vibration. Go ahead and round this down a little bit. Now I can get an accurate measurement on the pin length. So that's going to be the end of the pin, and that's going to be the end of the pin. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and round this mushroom down a little bit with a skew and part it off. A little more closer tool rest support. So there's a minimum gap there. Okay, I'm gonna start with a V-cut. Easy cut with a skew. Now I'll just kind of make that mushroom. Okay, now it's extended out there a little ways, but I'm just going to round off the end of it, or smooth the end of it with a little bit of sandpaper without pressing too hard. Just get rid of any tool marks. So now I'm going to use a feature. I'm using a Coronet Falcon Live Center system. And I don't want to damage the end of this, and yet it's too far out for me to do all the turning unsupported. So it comes with a knockout rod. And these adjustable tips have an O-ring in there, but it's also got the rounded surface right here, and that's going to work out just perfect for providing support without doing any damage to the end of this. Just like that. Let's switch to a smaller tool rest. So with this rounded end and this tapered inside, I can just bring up support, and that'll be perfect without doing any damage. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut the edge of that pin. With the toe. Pull this out and glance at it. Yep, that'll be fine. Maybe come back just a little bit. Alright, now the challenge is going to be to make a uniform pin this size and fit the appropriate hole that I'm going to drill, or actually I'm going to clean out. So let's investigate that now on the rolling pin. So I investigate the pin size. It won't fit in this hole. It fits only in, actually it fits in this hole snugly with when I put a little glue in there, it'll be fine. It's only going to go down about that deep. Size wise, this is just a bit smaller than a ½ inch. It's perfect fit for 15-30 seconds, so that's what I'm going to use too. So I'm going to size right up next here to get it to match. I'm going to use this wrench as a sizing tool, not a cutting tool. I'm going to use my beating and parting tool to get that size right. Slow the speed down to about 1200, 1000. I know some of y'all gonna complain about me wearing long sleeves. Yeah, what I do in my shop, I do in my shop. And there we go. Now I'll just size the rest of it down to that. I'm going to go back and perform two rests and do that in. So I'm going to use this clean up here. Clean a little further. And tool right over like that. Loose, still a little snug there, snug. Okay. And I've got nice smooth cuts, but I'll probably polish that up with a little bit of fine grit sandpaper so it'll roll smoothly inside that handle. Okay, I forgot to hit the record button when I was parting it off, but there's the two pins. This will easily fit within a ½ inch hole, I think, and I polished it off with abrasive paste so it should spin real well, and they both got a similar mushroom on the outside edge thanks to this Carnet Falcon Live Center. Just put a little canoe wax on my buffing wheel sparingly, and then just buff it, and that'll transfer nice, even coat of this very hard canoe wax. I'm not going to get any down here where the glue is going to be. We'll try to be mindful of that. Okay, time to turn the handle. I just happen to have this nice square of hard maple. They've been pre-drilled for some project, I don't know what, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. And the easiest way to chuck this is with our normal jaws, and then before I get them super tight, I'm going to bring up the cone center of this Carnet Falcon Live Center system I've got, and that will make sure that it's running true. And I will use that same hole to center the drill bit when I go to drill it out some. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get this round and get a feel for the size. It's 3/4 of an inch, or 1 3/16 of an inch is the size. So let's just go ahead and round it off. That'll be pretty doggone close. No more than about a millimeter or so. We'll take care of that in the final making. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drill that hole while I'm thinking about it. So let's get a drill bit that's appropriate. Before we drill the hole, let's get the exact dimension of the handle. So I'm just going to use the other one for comparison and then mark that. So I've taken a drill guide, measured my pin size. It's exactly 15, 30 seconds. It was a nice snug fit. I think when I have glue I can hammer it in. And then, you know, I made sure, trust but verify, I made sure I got a drill bit that matches. I put it in my Jacob's chuck. So now we're going to drill a through hole and finish the turning. Let's drill that hole first. I'm going to get the speed up to 500, 600, holding the hand on the Jacob's chuck. Not exactly music to my ears. Now we can just start shaping the handle to match this. I'm going to set this one down here on the banjo where I can see it. And we're just going to kind of go from fit. I'm going to flatten the true up the end here just so it won't rub unevenly on the head of the pin. I'm going to do that with just a round nose scraper, just kind of touch it a little bit. Get speed up. I probably don't need tailstock support, but I like to always use it whenever I can. And this 60-degree cone works real well for when you're drilling. You got a hole drilled to keep it centered. Okay, so now I'm going to just mark the features off. So it looks like from here to here, I'm going to start a little bit of a taper. I need to probably measure this dimension here. And I'm going to start down on this side and start down on that side, and I don't think I've got to be too terribly concerned about it one way or the other. I want to start with that tapered cut. I'm going to use a 3/8 inch spindle gouge and going from right to left, leaving as much mass here as possible. Again, let's just put this where I can see it. Start that taper down here. And then coming down on this end. Nice gentle taper down. Go ahead and mark this with a parting cut. It'll be nice and square. All I've done is mark it. And just kind of come in and make an entry cut for an asymmetrical cove, so I'm going to come in and just slice in. Then come in from the other side. I suppose it won't hurt to actually measure this low area and transfer it there. So I've got a little ways to go. I'll get rid of that little sharp edge there. Okay, let's go ahead and sand that up. And as almost always, we're going to use a little abrasive paste to get it silky smooth before we buff it up. Just rub this abrasive paste with a little bit of mineral oil, beeswax, and fine grit diatomaceous earth. I got a video on that. You can look it up. Just look up abrasive paste on my channel. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. All right, I'm going to part it off, and I'm going to use my Sorby 1/16 inch fluted parting tool because it makes the smoothest parting cut. It takes a limited sanding on the other end. So get the speed up to around 1,000 or so. Anchor the tool, line bevel, taper it in just slightly, and back. That's going to go any time because the through hole, and there we go. With this little sanding, actually it's not worth walking across my shop to the spindle sander since it's just the tiniest little bit. This flat board of 3x11 with some 120 grit on it will make short work of that little area. And now we're done. Now all we got to do is buff it, similar to the way we'd buff the pen. One refinement I want to make before I assemble this, I want to make a couple of little washers out of some plastic lids to give it a little more smooth surface for the handles to rotate on. So I'm going to drill that hole and go ahead and put that on there and drill a hole through, and then I'll cut it out. We'll see what happens. Let's get this out of the way. I think that's got it. May have melted it. Yeah. Didn't cut cleanly.
So I put a little wood glue on the ends of the pens and tapped them in with the mallet, and here's the final result. I'm happy with it. My wife's happy with it, which is even more important. Y'all stay safe. Come on back, you hear?